Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am BorderWise and welcome to the From the Depths CRAM Tetris tutorial, the new and improved edition that I've finally gotten around to because I felt like it. And so, brief disclaimer, this is not everything there is to know about CRAM cannons and From the Depths, because there is a lot to know, even though CRAMs are arguably one of the simpler weapon types to learn in From the Depths. There's a bunch of other stuff. I have made multiple tutorials on CRAM cannons in the past, most of which are outdated now since the big CRAM overhaul of something, a date that was some time ago. So we're going to be making new ones along with a bunch of other things. But okay, so brief overview of CRAMs, like for the complete noobs in the audience, in which case, welcome to From the Depths. This game is fun and you will spend the rest of your life learning it. CRAM cannons are big, slow-firing, slow muzzle velocity cannons. Distinct from advanced cannons, that's a different thing entirely. And their main gimmick is that they essentially they customize the shell they fire by packing different kinds of pellet into the shell. And you can mix and match what exactly the ratios of different pellets are to create unique and interesting CRAM shells. And just very, very briefly, not in depth, we're gonna go over what these things are. So you see, here is your menu, CRAM cannons. So to start off with, we've got the 4 main pellets, and this is the foundation of your CRAM cannon. This is what determines what kind of damage it is. So in descending order, we've got HE pellets, which creates explosive damage. We've got frag pellets, which creates fragmentation, which bring lots of little razor-sharp shards, and that spit out and shred things. We've got EMP pellets, which fills the shell with EMP, gives a nice big electric jolt when it hits things, and hardener pellets, which has a number of unique properties, increases the armor piercing of the shell, it increases the kinetic damage of the shell, and it increases the shell's health. So this is very important. Hardeners. Free tip, it's always helpful, especially in larger CRAM cannons, just to have a few hardener pellets in there just to improve the health of the shell. Because there's plenty of things that can shoot at CRAM cannons, CRAM cannon shells, and the longer your shells survive, the more likely they are to hit the target and blow it to pieces. Right, and next, the 2 major things, well, 3 major things, I guess. Connectors are, as you can guess, the things that connect all your CRAM bits together. Then you have packers, which is what your pellets attach to and what actually packs it into the shell. And then you have payload compactors, which in a weird way are like the opposite of packers, even though they attach to them. Packers increase the reload speed. They shorten the time it takes to prepare a shell, the more connections you have between packers and pellets. Payload compactors slow down the firing rate. They increase the reload speed, but they increase the amount of pellets that can be packed into a shell. So all these things kind of pack together in an interesting way, and we're not going to talk about the other things for now, except possibly the firing piece, because, you know, that's where your CRAM cannon fires from. We're just focusing on the Tetris, which is a jargony term from the depths for just how you arrange blocks for maximum effectiveness or efficiency, or to get them to do what you want them to do. And for the sake of making things needlessly complicated, I could just talk about the one kind of Tetris because it is the kind that you will use 99% of the time. I'm going to talk about 3 variants of it, 2 of which I made up. So the first kind of Tetris is what most people call Diamond Tetris, and it is called that because it focuses on connectors and a kind of ring of packers around them, which kind of link together in a diamond shape. So if I turn the UI back on, that's a good start. Length like that. They link together in a pattern that looks like this. And once you get 4 connection, 4 connectors in a ring like this, you'll notice it makes a diamond shape. So, I mean, it is a square if you look at it from an angle, but looking at it from the front, it's a diamond. This is why it's called Diamond Tetris. And I cannot stress enough that the other 2 kinds of Tetris I'm going to show you are mainly for giggles. They are for fun. They are for doing crazy stuff. If you want to make a properly good CRAM cannon, almost all of the time you are going to be using some kind of variant of Diamond Tetris. You might flip the diamond around in its orientation. You might mix and match where exactly the autoloaders go, but central point is it's going to have this kind of repeating diamond pattern to it. That is your bog standard meat and potatoes of CRAM Tetris, is this diamond thing. Now, if you want to get cute, there is the second kind of Tetris, and this is one that I made up some time ago because I was wondering on how to get nice symmetrical even gun turrets. So turrets with more than one gun at them, and that doesn't require asymmetrical shenanigans, because spoiler alert, over here, this is Diamond Tetris and quite large. If you want to get an even number of firing pieces on this, you have to do some crazy spaghetti looping with connectors in order to get them all kind of at the same position in the turret gap, and it's not very symmetrical, and you don't need to do that in order to make a good cram cannon. More on that later, but I felt like it, and so I basically invented, at least I've not seen anyone else use this kind of Tetris here. So this is not as efficient. So in this little 3x3 arrangement here, you can see there's 1/4 the amount of pellets, so this particular arrangement for a single gun would be absolutely terrible, and I will show you examples of that later. But the good news is that I can jam 4 firing pieces into one turret space. So I can demonstrate that like so. I forgot to do this. So there. And so you can see here all of these firing pieces. Well, admittedly, this is only one slice of a CRAM pancake. They have absolutely horrible reload times because of that, but they're all exactly the same. So if you want to build quad gun turrets, and all of the turrets are of completely equal stats in terms of reload speed and firepower and all that stuff, CRAMped Tetris, as I call it, is actually a really handy thing to do. So that's why that exists. It is, if you just want to make a single gun CRAM turret, Diamond Tetris all the way. Which also brings us to Linear Tetris, which I also sometimes refer to as Zigzag or SuperCrap Tetris, because this is deliberately bad. And you could be forgiven for looking at this little 3x3 arrangement and thinking, wait a minute, BorderWise, that's just Diamond Tetris but offset. And yes, it is, but Linear Tetris is, well, I call it that because the idea is that you have straight lines of connectors and packers doing their thing. So that's best illustrated over here. You can see why I call it Zigzag Tetris, and it's just this repeating line of just pellet, packer, connector, packer, pellet, and just so on and so forth, and alternating lines of them like this, and they're just slightly offset so the connectors don't actually touch each other, which means I can do stuff like this. So we go here, and we can have a huge amount of firing pieces in an otherwise unworkable space for them. So this is the main draw of Linear Tetris, the Zigzag or SuperCrap. It is 100% for giggles. It is a more extreme version of CRAMped Tetris. That's just when you want to get as many firing pieces as humanly possible into a space you otherwise wouldn't be able to. And you'll also notice in here, this is not an exactly perfectly repeating pattern. On the front here, the pattern breaks. And that is because linear and, to a lesser extent, CRAMped Tetris is inefficient. It doesn't repeat perfectly within a usual round turret space. So you see the Diamond Tetris over here in this 13 by 13 space that is round to facilitate being in a turret and being able to turn within a space. It repeats perfectly, like over here, you can see you can follow the kind of diamond crosses. It's just cut off at the edges so it can fit, and mostly the same thing over here. There are autoloaders which are not orientated the same way as this, same way as the others, because this is kind of going zigzag, 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 which isn't compulsory, but that's how my prefab works. Over here, the pattern breaks, because if this little line wasn't there, this is... well, you can't fit more of this Linear Tetris in here. All the connectors fall off the sides. So, the solution to that is just essentially resort last second to standard Diamond Tetris. You will, even if you try and be fancy with CRAM, you will end up just right on the edges using standard Diamond Tetris, which is fine because it works perfectly well. And so I've kind of gone off script and skipped ahead to the 13 by 13 turret wells, or turret slices, I should say. But 5 by 5 is also another very frequently used size, just a little bit bigger, and it also illustrates the same thing. So this is the 5 by 5 configuration for Diamond Tetris, and you can see it's still a diamond. It's just cut off slightly differently. It's still got the packers branching off from the connectors and the pellets all between them. And this is pretty efficient because we've got, on all of these pellets, we've got 4 connections. So if we go here, for example, you can hover over the packer. It says connected packers 4. So the trick to making your CRAM cannons efficient and effective is to maximize the amount of connections per pellet. So if I just do this, just to illustrate this, you'll see that every single one of these HE pellets has 4 connections, which is pretty darn good. It's 4 out of 6. There are 6 possible connections since this is a cube-based game, and 4 is pretty good. It is reasonable. Like, you don't want to do 1, 2 at the minimum, but preferably you want to shoot for 3, 4, maybe 5, even 6 if you can manage it. More on that later. So over here, the CRAMped Tetris, you can see it's very similar. It's got same amount of pellets in it, but it's slightly less efficient because 4 of those pellets have only 3 connections rather than 4. So this whole thing is less efficient, but to give you an idea of how hard it is to actually do this, I'm going to just do this. This is me trying to actually get a nice symmetrical thing. Jeez, this is completely forgot how freaking hard this was. So you see, in order to get that nice even, okay, let's go over here. So let's over here and over here. So that's something like this is what you have to do with Diamond Tetris if you want to get a 4-barrel turret, which in this particular case, 1 slice of CRAM, multiple firing pieces is a terrible idea, but you get the idea. Meanwhile, over in CRAMped land, it's way, way easier to get that nice and symmetrical. So we go here, whoop, whoop, and turret, and connectors. Ta-da! Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And I should mention as well that the way connectors work is that they don't connect diagonally. So if I have, say something up here, I can stick a, whoopsie daisy, let's, I can stick right, let's do this. So that's connected, doesn't connect diagonally, and that is a huge help when doing CRAM cannon Tetris, is you can string connectors and gauge increases, by the way. Probably talk about those another time. Because gauge increases are reasonably straightforward, you just pile them wherever they can fit. You'll notice that like this is a real good way to just get your Tetris really compact. It's just know what touches, what doesn't. And over here we have the linear Tetris, and you'll notice that it's almost verging on smushed horrible Diamond Tetris. Right here and right here we can jam 5 firing pieces into our one little spot. So we can do this, something like this. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here, 1, 2, 3, and boop, boop. So we can get 1, maybe 2 efficiently into this configuration. We can get 4 here and 5 here. There's no actual benefit to multiple firing pieces apart from really cool factor, because as of the last major CRAM update, the one that changed CRAM cannons to work the way they do now, the meta for CRAM cannons is single large CRAM systems that are very, very strong, rather than just what was before, which is just many firing pieces, as many as possible, and just all spewing shells. Okay, so over here we've got, again, a 5x5, but fit into a square space. So all you really need to do is just add pellets on the end. Not super efficient for any of them, but it allows you to fill a 5x5 space quite nicely. And once you get the hang of just that repeating pattern, so to give you an idea of what kind of prefab is useful, prefabs are incredibly handy for cram cannons. So if I just go here and I want to build a cram cannon, this prefab is what I tend to use, because right there immediately we've got a diamond pattern forming. It's just that cross allows you to visualize and space them out quite nicely. Okay, so diamond, cramped, linear. What about the ultimate prize? The ultimate achievement. Well, it's not the ultimate achievement, but it is an achievement for 6 connection Tetris. How do you do that? How do you get a pellet that is connected on every single side to packers? Well, I racked my head trying to kind of piece together this this one. I've got an old fortress by a Wellner, which has examples of 6 connection Tetris. It's basically Diamond Tetris, it's just with a twist in it. And that twist, as it turns out, is layering. So these are our 6 connected Tetris. And just to illustrate first is that if you, with standard Tetris, be it any kind, like the kinds I've just shown, you basically have the same slice over and over again, and it just repeats, stacking up. That's how you do it. Not quite so if you want to be fancy. So what we've got here is a 2-meter tall slice of CRAM-cake, as I sometimes call it, and you'll notice this is painted the wrong color. But we've got this pellet right here, which has 5 connections. So there, and on the bottom. What is going on here? Well, this is how you make a cram cannon with 6 connections on a pellet. Not 100% foolproof this version, because this is jammed into a 3x3 space. It's just got spare pellets on the end. And if we do this, whoopsie daisy, and here, and now we've got in the middle here, sandwiched between these 2 layers, which is just connectors and connectors with a packer in the middle, you've got a pellet with 6 connected loaders. So this is really damn efficient. It is mainly material efficient, I should mention, because, as you might have noticed, pellets are really expensive, packers are cheap, connectors are cheap, compactors are also very cheap. So the less pellets you use, basically you want to minimize the amount of pellets you use, but maximize the amount of packers you use. Lots of packers, fewer pellets, if you can possibly manage it. So that is the 3x3 6 connection Tetris, and the same thing is true over here. You might be thinking, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And it's the same thing, it's just, it's got a layer of just connectors and packets, orientated, by the way, so that those pointy pegs, which actually attach to the pellets, are aimed up and down, because there's going to be alternating layers of this particular slice of CRAM-cake. I hope you're hungry, because we're bringing the CRAM-cake. So now, you can see here, and I'm just going to connect all these connectors, stick a firing piece on it, so we get the UI to talk. Right here, you can see that this one and this one, well, this one almost has it, is that this packer right here has 6 connected this pellet right here has 6 connected packers. So does this one, this one, this one, and this one. So it's got 5 times 6, 30. So that's 30 connections with just 5 very expensive pellets, which is quite handy. And if you really want to be cute, on this top layer right here, you can do something like this. What's this? You can almost manage it. Let's see if I can't finish off that slice. I can indeed. Watch this. Watch this, mate. Just add 1/2 slice to go, and boop, boop, and boop. So now we've got a double layer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layer CRAM-cake with 6 connections in it, and there are only, need I remind you, 10. There's only 10 explosive pellets in here, but if you go up here, it says it's got 50. Super efficient. in terms of cost. And I should hasten to point out that is pretty much the only way it's a really efficient. 6-way connections, you can kind of get away, for the most part, with not doing it. I tend to prefer not to do it, because it does take a lot of packets, it does take a lot of connectors. I'm not sure how volume efficient it is, and I will illustrate the difference between them by having Diamond Tetris versus the 6-way Tetris right here, standard Diamond. So, right here, we've got our lazy 2-connection Diamond Tetris, which is the same one that's over here. It's, according to my notes, this is very quick to make, by the way. Tower of connectors up the middle, and surrounded by packers, and then just 4 rings of pellets on either side. Very quick to make, very inefficient though, because there's only 2 connections per pellet. That's no good. And so the reload speed of this bad boy is 8.68 seconds. Firepower is about 5.19. The volume is 51. The cost is 3,805. And just double check those numbers right here, because here are the stats. Yep. And all the other stats right here. And so compare that now to a more efficient form of 3x3 Tetris. Well, not 3x3 Diamond Tetris. So this is the less lazy 3-connection Diamond Tetris, which has alternate layers of connectors and packers and pellets, results in 1 extra connection per pellet. Cheaper and stronger for the same volume. So looking at this again, this is 8.68 seconds reload, 7.81 firepower over here, 5.19. Firepower over here is 5.77. Volume is exactly the same, and the cost of this guy is almost, in fact it is, it's just shy of 1,000 materials cheaper. So what's different here? So again, we've got this tower of connectors down the middle, but every so often, alternating up the front, we've got this branched off bit right here. It's almost like a tree. And then on the sides, we have Diamond Tetris, just hyper-efficient Diamond Tetris, just broken at the top where the firing piece sits. And if we really want to be cute, we can do something like this and just get extra pellets in there. Don't recommend it because, well, it's not that bad. We've got, actually, we can be really cute and do this. Watch this. See, we've just returned back up to here. 3, 3, 3. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So, that's the difference that good Tetris makes. It makes a huge difference. But now we're going to go over to this guy, and this is the same kind of 6-connection Tetris that we were doing over here. So, is this any better? Not at first glance. So, remember, looking compared to this 3-connection Tetris, reload speed 7.81. This one is 11.93, so it is slower, it packs more slowly. Firepower is quite a bit less, 5.77 versus 3.77. One more volume as well, just for how I did it. But the cost, oh, the cost, it is like, let's see here. It's almost 1,100 materials cheaper, so what is going on? So this is what I was talking about before. This is arguably not even that good Tetris, because it's got these these pellets on the back which only have 2 connections. One way around this is that this thing, I should mention as well that your ideal fire rate for a CRAM cannon is in between 20 to 23 seconds. I actually had someone do the math for me on this one. I didn't ask them, they just did it because they were super cool, and I wish I could remember what their username was. Sorry. But, so yeah, not super good Tetris here in the back, but down the middle, we've got these 1, 2 little pellets that have full connections. So, same as what we were showing before, and if we really wanted to be cute, so right here, we've got... Wait, no. What were we being cute about again? We could do this. So 15.5, super damn cheap. And, yeah, wow, just the material cost is 1280. This is to give you perspective on how cheap this little turret would be, while still having below the optimal firing rate for this. So, if we go here and replace it, like, payload compactors are really good, actually. They're so cheap. So 21.75 seconds. Okay, that's a good reload speed. So let's check the cost again. Just over 1,000. Just over 1,000, which if you look in the simple weapons menu, that's the cost of one of these guys. One of these tiny wee AA guns, except that the firepower of this is 1.01. The firepower of this thing is 2.48 for only like 20 bucks more. So this is where CRAM cannons really excel as a weapon class, is per cost, per volume, they can get really high damage numbers. The only problem is that in reality, the shell, they fire slowly, and the shells they fire are slow, so they tend to miss a lot, which really messes with their efficiency. More on that in future videos, probably. Okay, so now we've got efficient Tetris over here. This is standard 4-way connection Tetris, and this is, yeah, like your bog standard effective CRAM cannon, because a Diamond Tetris, although it is more expensive than this kind of 6-connection Diamond Tetris, it does have that right blend of efficiency, affordability, and just firepower and packing rate. So most of the time, like I say, unless you want to be really cute with terms in cost or compactness, you will be using this. And this fella is quite strong. There are no packers in here, just for consistency. So this is 5x5, and that would stick into a 7x7 armored turret. And equal layers, respectable, consistent 4 connections on each pellet. It is expensive though, so reload speed 5.5 seconds, firepower 8.18, volume of 114, cost of 5,110. And to give you, this is just 1,000 bucks more than this octuple simple weapon right here. So it's still not that bad in the whole cost department. You'll find that if you use advanced cannons or missiles or particle cannons or anything like that, and you suddenly make a CRAM-only vehicle, you'll be like, huh, this thing's really cheap. It can't hit anything moving faster than 40 meters per second, but it's really cheap. So how does that compare to the 6-way, like the perfect 6-way 5x5 over here? Well, same story. It's less effective, but it's way cheaper. So over here, 5.5 reload, 7.17 seconds, which is only a little bit slower. Firepower over here is at 8.18. Firepower over here is 6.28. Volume is actually a little bit less, just because of how you can connect the connectors. So over here it's 114. Here it's 110. The cost over here is 5,110. This is half of that, and it scales more with size. So 2,600. This is nothing. This is a very cheap turret, and probably still got pretty meaty damage. Like if I trick this thing out with packers, so we've got these payload packers just pointing up. They're not connected to anything. That's okay. 1 connections is fine with packers. And now this thing is going to be, the firepower has, it has jumped up a little bit. And if we really want to be cute, we can do something like this. Just add some standard Diamond Tetris on the top, just to maximize our packers. And still not enough. We do something like this, and we can do, whoopsie daisy, we can do something like this. We're not even close to that 20 reload second rate, but already firepower is now jumped up to 7.45, which is catching up quite quickly to this fellow over here, and the cost is still, whoopsie daisy, the cost is still pretty reasonable, 2,855. So yes, this 6-way Tetris is, if you really want to go all out on the efficiency and make your CRAM turrets cheaper, that's what is good. And it's not, once you figure out that this alternating layer template is how you get a good 6-way Tetris, well, 6-connection Tetris, you can just, well, you just up the size of the thing. So yeah, that's pretty good. Haven't done that in this video because it does take slightly longer, and I have spent too much time preparing for this video already. Spoiler alert, behind the scenes. So now let's look at some turrets in action. So we're going to go here, and we're going to look at some 3x3 turrets. They're not amazing, they're just for demonstration purposes. And so what we've got here, we've got standard diamond Tetris over here. This is the inefficient one, by the way. So it's just this tower in the middle, surrounded by packers and pellets. We've got the CRAMped Tetris, and you can see this is 3x3, not counting the turret armor around it. And we've got 4 of the things in there. And we've got our 6-way, 6-connection thing right here. And so we can see the difference right here. Let's do that, and let's just start with the diamond, and we can see Marauder get shot at, because it would not be a good video if a Marauder did not get shot at. So reload speed is 13.42, which is significantly higher than all these guys over here, and also higher than... Stop. You can stop moving. Thank you. And so over here, you can see the reload speed is 14.9, so slightly slower. And kabooey. So these are not very big CRAM cannons. They're just firing all the way from over there and blowing things up. Okay, let's sit over here. So the one occasion, just while we're talking about this, and I'll probably mention this again when I talk about categories of CRAM cannon in another video, is that having multiple firing pieces like this is most effective for HE crams, like small HE crams, which just you want to basically layer the explosions on top of each other. So let's just have this little guy fire once more, and keep an eye on the top right, the damage numbers up there, assuming this guy doesn't miss. So we've got 13.3 thousand explosive damage. And now we're going to have the square turret fire, which has a considerably slower reload, by the way. So that's 26,000, and I think, what was it? Yeah, 2 of the shells missed. So now we're going to have to wait for this guy to reload, which takes a while. All these guys also have their minimum packing set a little bit lower because they can't pack to full potential. Let's see, needs to beat 13k. It does not beat that. You keep missing horribly, and I don't care for that one bit. How about you don't do that? I might have been talking out of my hat earlier. Can you do it? Also, one of them's not fused. Damn it! Wow, almost none of them are fused. What the hell? One more time. Fire and don't miss. So yeah, never mind. If these things were actually packed properly, it wouldn't be so good. So it does illustrate what I was saying before. Better a single strong CRAM cannon than multiple firing pieces all sharing pellets. That's the meta now. I actually did think this would do damage. I forgot I'd set the minimum packing so low. And so now, we've got this guy over here, which probably does exactly the same damage as the first one. It's just, yeah, roughly 13.2k. It hit the metal. So there's not much difference between the first one and the second one, except the second one is cheaper. And by second one, I actually mean third one. So you can see here, let's do this. Alright, so our first turret over here is just shy of 4,000 materials, and but the 6-connection one is 3,080 materials, while doing quite similar damage, similar reload speed, similar firepower. So firepower over here is, what is that? 3.02, 3.36. So for a small CRAM cannon, 6-way Tetris is very, very handy. It is slightly taller though, very slightly taller than the other one. This guy has less up in the turret gap. But if he did, he'd be even more expensive. So yeah, 3x3s and 6-way connections. Oh, you would have noticed that linear Tetris didn't even appear there. That's because linear Tetris is basically completely useless at such a small size. In a 3x3 turret, there is 0 point. Like, really, like, not even for giggles. You'll get 3 really terrible cram cannons squeezed into a single turret. But once we go to 5x5, a different story. So please pardon the pancake guns, that sheer force of habit. So over here we have regular diamond Tetris with consistent 4-way connections over here. And interesting thing to note is that when I do stuff like this, like when I build a cram cannon from the bottom up, usually, that's how I usually build them, right at the top, in order to connect all the connectors between each pillar, so to speak, of connectors, you've got spaces left over, and there's a number of things you can do there. You can fill them with gauge increases, or, like, if you're really out of ideas, surge protectors. But what I tend to do these days is I stick even more packers and pellets in them. So in this particular case, this is not, excuse me, super efficient because there's only two connections on these up here pellets, but it's using the space. It's filling in the space and making this thing more strong than it otherwise would be. Does it actually have the inertial fuse? Yes, it does. And I like big chunky turret caps because it means that this thing can get hit really hard in the face and shrug it off. I think this thing should be called Diamond. Let's see, is it Diamond? It is Diamond now. And let's spawn in our Marauder slightly closer. And you see, this is exactly the same stats as the first one. It's just fires faster because there's more pellets. Have left out the packers exactly because I don't want to screw with the statistics too much. Fires much more quickly though. Not optimal DPS, especially with these two connectors up here. You'll notice the firepower goes up when I replace these two with packers. So what do we got here? Firepower is 6.96. Now it is 7.29. And now it's 7.44. So now, much, well, slightly bigger boom. There we go. So, compactors, sorry, I usually add last. And I just add them in whatever space is next. If you replace pellets with packers, often that improves the firepower a little bit while upping the reload. So firepower is 7.44. Nope, that dropped it a little bit. You can't go overboard. So yeah, that's where I usually stick these compactors, is right at the top, right after I've placed every other pellet. Because that's what gets you to that sweet spot of 20 seconds reload time. So yeah. That's that guy, and let's just repair you, because why not? And next on the list, we've got this CRAMped thing, which, okay, here is where we can actually compare properly. So, fire this, we get, bang, 50, that was about 15 explosive damage. Now square, actually, no, false test, well, that was about 40, and this one has packers making the shell more powerful. So this size is where CRAMped starts to come into its own. It's just, you've got 4 separate explosions that kind of overlap with each other. That does more damage often than one single big HE shell. So this is where CRAMped Tetris really comes in handy. Bang! 31.5k, and it does a super good job. And then we've got linear Tetris, which does the same thing, only worse. So to give you an idea of the spaghetti nightmare in here, alternating spaghetti. So this is offset slightly. So this is actually different from what I showed on the other fortress, which is annoying. So right here we've got these all fire at a different rate, by the way, which is one of the problems with using funky Tetris like this, especially once you get to a different size with CRAMped Tetris, and with any size with linear, is that all these things fire at a different rate, and you need to set them differently if you want them to all fire at the same rate. So 23.83 reload, 23.83. Wait, no, I have messed with this. I've messed with this minimum packing, because otherwise that would be 30-second reload. This is a 14-second reload, a 20-second reload, and 20-second reload. So when this thing starts firing more than once, it's a little weird. And I didn't put a bloody fuse on one of those boxes. Why do I keep forgetting to do these things? I swear. Don't rush bullet. Well, there you see, like, the firing rate is now broken. It's staggered, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just if you're a wee bit OCD about things firing perfect unison, that might drive you a little bit crazy. Does make for it. I think it looks kind of cool, but then again, that's me. I'm a bit of a weirdo. Also, 5-barrel turret. That's cool factor right there. So yeah, and over here we've got our 6-way connection pancake. So right here, yep, connected packers 4. What? Oh, you cheeky. Of course. Why are you not connected? Oh. Oh, I see. Oh, see. I goofed. Oh, I did. Oh, balls. That was embarrassing. 11-second reload. 6-way connection. I spent 3 days making these fortresses, and they've still got mistakes on them. Alright, so significantly shorter reload time. Are all these darn things connected, though? They are. So remembering over here that we stuck packers here. So reload time over here is 7.35. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, somebody take my YouTube license away. Reload time 6.42. Remembering over here 11.33. Let's check the cost comparison again. This guy is numero uno. This guy is numero dos. Place order 1, 8,000 materials versus 5,000. So if you want a lot of turrets, 6-way connection is the way to go if you've got a strict budget. So if you're entering in a tournament with a strict cost limit, 6-way connections is probably a good idea for your cram cannons. But speaking of cost limits or lack thereof, let's talk about this final fortress right here. 13 by 13. 2 huge guns, and this is where I can properly show off cramped and linear Tetris. So I haven't done a what do you call it? I have not done a six pellet connection turret on this particular fortress because, like, you get the point. It's cheaper. But this is a great way to opportunistically illustrate the difference between a turrets with multiple barrels and just maximize the amount of barrels. This particular one, I should mention, is a little bit... oh, darn it. Where are you? No, wrong button. Where'd you go? There we go. There we go. We're in the right neighborhood now. So... this thing is big enough to the point that I would call it a DoomCRAM. So, for those of you who don't know, DoomCRAM is a bit of a loose definition, which I didn't come up with, by the way. I forget where I heard it or first saw it, but it is basically a big cram cannon with just big numbers all around. So you can see the stats on this thing. Huge amounts of explosive damage. This thing actually has packers in it to get it to that sweet spot. Roughly 20-second reload, in this case 21.53 seconds. 192,487 explosive damage in an almost 40-meter radius. And about 56,600 kinetic damage with basically no armor penetration, so that doesn't really matter. Firepower is 118.33, so per minute it's like 100 small missiles. That's what, with one warhead, that's what firepower translates to. And it's got the gauge increases pretty much all up here in the turret cap. Like I said, gauge increases are really easy. The only time you really have to worry about them is if you've got more than one firing piece in the turret, in which case they can't touch any other firing pieces, connectors belonging to another firing piece, or gauge increases belonging to another firing piece. Aside from that, super simple. And the barrels are my standard barrel pattern, which I probably should talk about at least some other time. But yeah, elevation, pivot, heavy barrels. And big, chunky turret. These are all Neckless turrets, by the way. You don't have to make Neckless turrets. They've got pros and cons when compared to turrets which do have necks, as in the skinny bit in between the body of the turret and the turret cap. I like them because I like them, pretty much. I like their advantages. Very squat, very compact. But anyway, right here we're going to demonstrate. First we're gonna go from left to right. Firing first at the Marauder, because that's hilarious and cool. Nope. Oh, darn it. Well, scratch one Marauder. Well, actually, no. We missed. Horribly. So, starting with linear Tetris. Bang! And we're gonna miss horribly. So that's one advantage of having way too many firing pieces just in one turret, is that even when you miss, you don't. And once you get the staggered fire, assuming you're not obsessive-compulsive and have made sure that every single firing piece fires at the same rate, they do this kind of staggered fire thing, which is actually kind of decent against moving targets, because it means that entire volleys are less likely to miss. It's just non-stop scratch damage. You will also... I didn't put fuses on these! What is wrong with me? You'll also notice that unlike these guys, which are all max gauge, these don't have any gauges, because that's a nightmare. Let us actually stick some... Actually, no, I'm not going to bother this. Control-C, Control-V is fantastic. Everyone should know how to do that. Oh my god. I didn't even put fuses on the... You know what? Screw it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I'm about to demonstrate something that might blow your mind. And this is talking about the CRAM update that happened some time ago and how it changed the meta. So, back in ye oldie days, before that update, CRAM cannons like this were actually pretty good meta-wise. Because the only thing that could shoot down CRAM shells was LAMs, laser anti-munition systems. And since LAMs can only target one thing, one projectile at a time, just mass volleys of CRAM cannons were probably one of your best ways of getting through an enemy LAMs. So to demonstrate that right now, I'm going to spawn in something that has quite a chunky LAM system. Here we go, iron cordon. So, these shells have basically no health. But, you'll see here, yep, actually that didn't even do it. Did not even do it at all. Because these shells have basically no health. Let's try the square Tetris instead, which is firing a lot of... Yep, okay, so that's a good demonstration of how mass volleys work against LAMs. It just occurred to me that this is... No, wait, this is still discussing Tetris, discussing pros and cons of it. How dare you? Did you just shoot that out of my hand? Out of my turret? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, staggered fire, not good. Not good! This is one of the reasons why mass volleys are the way to go. Okay, so... At the very least, on the first volley, you could see that could get through LAMs. There's a problem with it, though, and that is, as of the big CRAM update, there's two more things that can blow CRAMs out of the air, and that is missile interceptors and APS CWIS, close and weapon defense. And one of the crowning annoying things for things like that is the Kraken. So, for those of you who don't know... Oh, you bloody moron, no! No, no, no. Don't do that. That ruined the whole thing. Ruined it, I say. Great. Now we've got to wait, I don't know how many seconds. 20, okay, 10 seconds for that to reload. Life is so hard, you know? Sometimes it's just waiting for video game things to happen. Oh, my whinging went on long enough for for things to happen. Okay, so, for those of you who do not know, the Kraken is a deep water guard, godly craft, that happens to have a honking big sea whiz on the top of it. So that's this gun right here. This thing always surprises me with how it's got a lot of other guns besides. Actually, if we turn you off, the sea whiz should still fire. So if we fire away... And that was, let's just count them quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 2,000mm shells blown straight out of the air by this one gun right here. This is the reason why, the major reason, why Cramped in linear Tetris is not meta. Decent sea whiz will tear it straight out of the air. And the same goes for missile interceptors. In fact, I can actually do this right now. I'll spawn in something that actually has decent missile interceptors. Anti-CRAM ones. So let's go over here. Hopefully that spawns in. I think it will spawn in one of my guys, and I've just got to remember which dude it is. Not that. I don't remember. Ah, this guy. I think this will do. I think this will do. Deep water guard. Probably not. So you see, swarms of interceptors can just maul whole volleys of crams. I actually quite like this thing. Yes, those are cram cannons on it. I like crams. You might have noticed. Pretty black and white, but yeah. So, bit of an issue when stuff like that can so easily eat entire volleys of crams. Which brings us to this fella right here. Why single crams are better. The standard diamond Tetris or 6 connection Tetris, which is just frankly a variation on standard diamond DoomCRAM. So, if you go over here, so this fella right here has no packers, or compactors, I should say. I keep getting these two things confused. Shell health is 2,880, which also reduced to 80% by fuses, 20 armor. And over here, with this way too many 1,000mm guns, shell health is 750. That's basically nothing. This guy has a lot more health, so... Assuming for a moment that this guy isn't fast enough to dodge cram shells anyway, because it is, let's see what happens when our Diamond DoomCRAM lets rip. Oh, just made it. Just made it. Can you do it again, though? But can you see how close that shell got? It was pretty sweet. Also, if I'm really cute... Let's see, is it gonna do it? Okay, no, not you. Okay, here is a sneak peek of one of the tricky ways that you can be a cram gunner. Flash suppression barrels. Okay, let's see, detection can be spotted where? Oh, who knows. Fire again. You know you want to. Too late. That's all she wrote. So, I cheated a little bit there by sticking that flash suppressor on the end, which increases the distance that your cram cannons can be detected. But you get the idea. More shell health means means it can actually hit things that are shooting at the shell a little bit. Great contrast being the Kraken right here. So the shell fires, and you can turn off all your other weapons because that's just distracting. And remember that these 12 2,000mm cram shells were shot straight out of the air. What about this super packed one? With no hardness or anything like that, just packers and a lot of pellets. Bang. Alright, so Sea Whiz goes bang, bang, bang. Oopsie daisy. This is why, once again, standard diamond Tetris and 6 connection Tetris in a single big cram, that is Gucci, that is good, that is, if you really wanted to be good with crams, that's what you do. Sorry to all the people who want like a double or triple barreled turrets a la World War II battleship style. That's not what cram cannons are good for, unfortunately. Join the dark side, make single shot pancakes. So yeah, that's basically it for this tutorial on cram cannon Tetris. I hope you learned something, and if you didn't learn anything, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you didn't enjoy it, I hope you forward this video to someone who will enjoy it or learn something from it, because that would be pretty awesome of you. Thank you. So yeah, I will be making more tutorials on cram cannons and other stuff in the future, because ye gods, a lot of the tutorials I've made on these topics before have not aged well with all the updates and whatnot, so I will be getting on that. No worries, mate. Don't promise to get on that particularly fun. Man, that's so satisfying to watch. Just a big kablooey like that. So yeah, look forward to that. And thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Support me on Patreon or YouTube membership if you like. It really helps. And there's fun perks in it for you. Thank you to all my current supporters, and I will see you, deacons hell, that looked painful, next time in From the Depths. Farewell.